coming down. Not only that,
Yeah, it wasn't exotic.
you know, now that I think about it, so he got me a nice
How's it,
cigar.
everyone, and welcome to another episode of Culture the Podcast. We've been gone for a little bit, had some shit going on. We'll talk about it, and we're coming back with a bang. We got fucking cigars. We got a little
Whiskey.
scotch.
Little scotch.
Scotch or whiskey?
Scotch is whiskey.
It is. This is true. We can get into that if you want. If we want to break that down. But this is a scotch specifically.
Scotch specifically, not a bourbon, not anything like that. Glenfiddich from Scotland.
Glenfiddich. Okay, so then this, when you light a cigar,
So
it's called they call it toasting the foot. Toasting the foot. So what you want to do is you want to, like, this is why they have like these fucking torches.
So is that the best for cigar, right? What you got right there in your hand.
I guess. I mean, you can, like, some people it's a some people like using matches. They're like purists, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
that or that.
before. But this is basically, you don't want the flame to hit the fucking cigar. You just want it to kind of like, just the heat to get it. And then you want to like toast the foot. So you just basically, you're lighting.
Around.
Yeah. You're lighting the foot to where you get a nice even burn. It's tough to see here because it's like light out. But you'll get like a nice little red glow. But you also see like how the ash is starting to form.
Yeah.
So you want it to kind of like form evenly. You don't want any like dry spots. Okay. And then you don't want to heat it too fast, too soon. You know, because then you just kind of like caramelize all the fucking tobacco, like, and you get like a char taste.
Yeah. So you're seeing obviously spots that aren't lit right now. Is that what you're
Well, yeah. So like, see how the wrap's kind of burning.
Yeah.
Quicker, and then this doesn't look like it's really kind of like.
Oh, you don't want that
yet. No, yeah. And you also don't want to like take heavy draws to try to like light the cigar, because then you heat it too fast. So
you want to go nice and easy. At least until it's lit.
Yeah.
So it's going.
You want to be able to draw consistently throughout the whole cigar.
Yeah.
You don't want to sit there and be like to try to get it
That's
lit.
Normally what I do.
Then you get a mouthful of like fucking.
I remember my first cigar ever. I was like, I'm never doing cigars again, because it was like probably a crappy cigar.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember that thing lasted in my mouth for like 4 days. It was like disgusting. And then I was like 20 minutes into it, I was like, ooh, like my belly was like.
Yeah, it's kind of like similar to like whiskey. You know what I mean? Like sometimes when you drink whiskey, like the next day you like, so like, yeah. So just keep it in the center right now.
Keep it in the center.
And just kind of like and you'll start seeing it start to char. You know, so when it starts to char, you move it around to where you see.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
Yeah, so back it up a little bit. There you go.
I need to get me one of these.
This is like the worst fucking dead air ever. I was looking at a cigar as it's starting to burn.
How come this?
Let's see what this.
My shit doesn't look good. I'll tell you that.
This is Glenn?
I blame my teacher.
Any Glenn will do. Beginner, let me see.
I like my swingers reference. That's nice.
No, I did that specifically for you.
Oh, I'm not blowing on it. That's what
well, a lot of times, instead of sucking on it,
blow the top.
You can
I'm
blow
used
it.
to blowing the top though.
Yeah. So you can kind of see
Where it's
lit, where it needs to be lit, and stuff like that. But it should be all right. You start sucking on that bad boy. All right, now that we're fucking through the fuckery, I'll edit all that out.
Keep it in, bro. We're gonna lose every viewer in the first.
views have taken a hit. I don't know if people don't like the OG set, but they don't like the OG hosts.
Maybe the host.
I feel like they like it when we have guests more. I don't know.
I agree. They might get a little tired of us.
A little feedback would be nice, but fuck it, it is what it is. I'm like so nervous that this camera went.
Should I just go check?
I mean, I could. So yeah, the last podcast we did, our main camera went out, which means our main microphones went out. So the first half of that podcast is audio is kind of shitty.
Cheers.
Oh, cheers. Did you see if any of these pair with the scotch?
So I looked at pairings before, and it's random. People say don't drink scotch whiskey, drink coffee with a cigar.
So I can see that.
It's all
the real bold flavors. They kind of like
correct. That's what
bitter.
That's what some people say, but other people are just like just drink scotch and whiskey with it. So it's preference.
I mean, I can see it because you get the like real bitter, bland taste of the cigar, and then you have like the spice of the whiskey. You know what I mean? Like that kind of bite that the whiskey has. So it can kind of like.
There's really no bite on this.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
So it'll kind of like. So the more bitter your taste is, obviously the bite is going to be a little bit more amplified. So if you're trying to like get a good feel for the scotch or the whiskey, I can see how it fucks with your taste.
I mean, I actually like this
combination.
Yes.
Yeah. This is Arturo Fuente. Forget which one this is.
I have a Churchill. Let me see.
Oh, the Churchill. Well, the Churchill. So the Churchill's the size.
No, we have the same.
Yeah. Churchill's the size.
You had two different ones.
Yeah, and.
But I actually like Churchills.
Yeah, the size of it.
And from my understanding, and I'm total novice cigar smoker, that's generally the bolder flavor, right? The skinnier the cigar.
Not necessarily. It's just like the duration of the smoke that you'll have.
So
you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just like
nothing to do with boldness.
No, it's strictly like kind of like I'm gonna be enjoying this for a while.
Because I remember seeing something. This I maybe misunderstood, but they were saying that most men, want a big cigar because they're big. They want a bold flavor, but that's generally the lighter flavor. And the women who smoke cigars go for the smaller ones.
So they're probably talking about the gauge of the cigar.
What's the gauge?
So the gauge is the thickness, the girth of the cigar.
Yeah.
So
aren't Churchills kind of thin?
They're thin. They're thin. So so it'll be more of a. It'll be less. It'll be a smoother smoke, I guess you could say. You know what I mean? It's not going to be as bold as if you have like a 50 gauge, like a thick cigar, where you're burning so much tobacco at once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you're taking in a lot of smoke.
Uh-huh.
So it's like a really bold, like, so a lot of like. So if you have like a Maduro that's like a big gauge and you're smoking it like a high gauge, it's a lot. So you can kind of like just be like, oh fuck, this is kind of, it's nauseating at times.
Gotcha.
So you have to, especially if you're someone that has like a heavy draw. If you're someone that has like a mild draw and like you have trouble keeping a cigar lit because you're constantly kind of like, you're constantly needing to puff on it because you have a light draw, it'll do that. It'll like, you won't get as much of the. But if you have a heavy draw and you have a thick gauge and you're fucking smoking it like you're getting through it, I mean, it can be nauseating.
Generally, when you smoke a cigar, how far do you bring it down? You go all the way, or?
I mean, it depends on how much I'm enjoying the cigar. If it's if it's like a good cigar, I'll get it to where it's like burning my fingers. I'm just
really?
Okay, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, okay. Like, like you'll get to the end where you're just kind of like smoking it like this, and it's just like. But yeah, I mean, at least to the wrapper.
Yeah.
Normally, but I mean, like that's a lot of cigar. You know, it's like it depends. You know, because like the cigars I got for your birthday, it's like $100 worth of cigars. So you're like, I'm not gonna like. It's 50 like a 2 ounce pour of scotch that costs you like $200.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're not gonna be like, I'm good.
I'm not gonna finish
I'll
this.
I'll leave the rest.
Yeah.
I'll leave the rest on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But if it's like a glass of Jack and you're like take a couple, you know, you're feeling it
I'm
good.
drinking the
like,
whole goddamn thing.
And
Now,
yeah,
but with the cigar, I mean,
yeah.
so I've smoked a few over the past since my birthday because I have a shitload.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. And Crystal got me a ton.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's still not open, but I noticed. Well, and I've read that there's like it's in 3 parts, right? It's like the first, like
The way it's wrapped, yeah.
well, and then when you're smoking it, you're getting kind of 3 different levels of the cigar.
Yeah.
So it's like the first third, the middle third, which is like the easiest, the kind of the heart of it, the best part, and then you get to the last third, which is if it's a crappy cigar, you kind of want to stop once you start the third.
It's also like it's think about it as like how far the actual smoke is from your mouth when you're smoking it.
Yeah.
So the further the smoke is, it's going through a lot of tobacco as it's getting to your mouth. So it's kind of like it's just a different flavor from here to here.
Uh-huh.
So when you go from this side, it's like you're going through a bunch of tobacco. It's kind of like almost being filtered in a sense.
Yeah.
Right. Then you start getting to the middle of it. All that shit that you've been smoking is in there, and it's already kind of like preheated and kind of just like worked its way into the center of the cigar. So then you're gonna get like the boldest and like the richest flavors in there.
Mhm.
And then the way the cigar's wrapped as well, it's like meant to kind of like it's all on purpose. You know what I mean? It's not like a and then as you start getting here, now the smoke's closer to your mouth, it's bold, you know what I mean? So if I'm hitting the cigar, if I'm taking a draw from the cigar at the same like rate here that I am here, you're gonna get a lot more like smoke, hot smoke in your mouth.
Yeah.
Here, you know what I mean? So it's a different flavor
Yeah.
altogether. You know, so yeah, it is kind of like layers. It's just kind of like it develops, you know. But also it depends on how well it's kept, how well the blend is, how long. You know, it's more equatable to wine, I'd say, than it is to like whiskey.
Uh-huh.
You know, whiskey's just kind of like the flavors there, and you're gonna enjoy
Get
that
it,
flavor
yeah.
throughout. But like wine, like if you keep a cigar and you keep it right for a duration of time, all that tobacco blends, you know, and it's blending in like
No, it's pretty rad. Like the collections people have, or like people do
Yeah.
collect cigars. Never made sense to me. Starting to be kind of a cool thing. It's like, oh dang, it's like a '92, version of this cigar
Right.
that they've had in their humidor.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh, that's pretty badass, And
Right.
They're gonna take this out on an occasion.
Right, exactly.
So it's
like same way you like a bottle of wine. You're not
Yeah.
gonna open a bottle of wine that's been aged for 50, 60 years
Yeah.
just because like, I'm thirsty tonight.
Yeah.
Let me have a nice little so yeah, it's interesting. I mean, and again, I'm not a novice, but I'm not
An expert.
an expert
Yeah.
on
But
cigars either.
Who is an expert? Yeah.
Well, see, I mean, you
Yeah.
get like this is the same shit we were talking. I think we mentioned this before, where it's like, what defines an expert? You know what I mean? There's somebody like we've been in an industry for. You were in the industry for what? 12 years? 13 years?
16.
16 years. 16 years in the industry would make you pretty much an expert on
throwing bags.
or on that industry. You know what I mean? In a sense, you know what I mean? Because you've seen everything. You know how ground delays work. You know how all this shit works. So you're technically an expert, and you did it professionally. You know what I mean? But I mean, you if you study something like say you're a black belt in jiu-jitsu, like technically you're an expert. You know? I mean, you're not to the level. You may not be in a level where you're teaching jiu-jitsu, but you've known and you've seen enough in your time, in your tenure, that you understand like the sport, you understand or the art, and you understand what it's used for, and you understand like all like the nuance to it all. You know, so I mean, it depends on what your definition of an expert is, but like. There's some guys that I know that there's people I think if I go to someone for information, I'm obviously not an expert.
Yeah.
You know, or if someone's like breaking shit down
That's
to me.
not necessarily true though. I mean, you're just learning a little more. Maybe that person just has a few more years and has seen some other things. You can always
Yeah,
still be
higher
learning.
higher level
Yeah,
of expertise. Yeah,
yeah.
but again, can you consider yourself like the expert in cigars if there's someone that you learn from that still kind of like breaks shit down for you and you're like, oh shit, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? Like,
No, I mean, I still think you could. I mean, depending on what level, but um, I, and so I mentioned that I read a lot of like self empowerment books and stuff, and everybody's like, I have to constantly be learning. Like I'm never, I think I've
right,
reached a top, but there's always something else I can know. I mean, and that goes with everything, working out, stock trading, jujitsu. So it's a common theme. It's like you got to be open to always being educated and not having it all
right,
figured out.
right. Well, they say there's a quote or something like that says like the more you learn, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know shit.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like the further you get into something, the more you realize like, damn, I thought, and it's a common misconception for people that get into something like a trade or something that's kind of like really um, really exciting at the time, and then you're like, oh, I've I've dove balls deep into this, so I know everything about it. So
yeah,
you think you know everything about it, and then like the more time you spend in it, the more you realize like, God, I was so naive at that time, thinking that I had it all figured out and I
yeah.
knew what the fuck I was doing, and I had no idea
I
really.
think that's another thing, just being open minded and realizing, you know what, I might know a lot,
Yeah.
but I don't know everything,
Hmm.
and I can still learn. So
Well, I think that's something that's missed on a lot of people too.
correct, yeah,
You
yeah,
know, I think it's really easy to sit there and start feeling yourself because you know more than your inner circle or your like echo chamber of people. You know more than them, so you're just kind of like, I know my shit. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like golf. See, golf is one of the things where I wouldn't consider myself an expert in golf, but the time that I've put into golf and the things that I've learned in golf, where people
Like
and
going right into you, sorry.
no, you're good. And the more people like ask me about things, and the more they're like, I'm like, oh, you like when I become the reference point, like, oh, you should talk to Jose. Jose knows a
Yeah,
shitload
yeah,
about golf. He's like a golf expert,
yeah,
and it's like, oh fuck, like, am I? I guess I know.
yeah. Well, your knowledge on just mechanics and just a lot of
Right,
things
like the golf
is
swing.
pretty
It's pretty vast.
yeah,
It's and it's not like to be like arrogant about it, like, oh yeah, I know everything there is to. Because again, there's still people I reference and I look to, but the thing is, when they're speaking about something, like when they're talking about like the nuance of a swing, you might miss what they're talking about.
yeah,
You're like, I don't understand what the fuck he's saying, but I get it,
uh-huh,
and I'm just kind of processing it, and I'm seeing how it either equates to my belief system on how the swing works, or I'm kind of like challenging it in a way, and
yeah,
I'm just
yeah,
kind of like, so I mean, maybe at an expert level, that's what you do. You know what I
yeah,
mean? You kind of like you learn to uh like it's like science, where you get like peer reviews where they
uh-huh,
all get together and just kind of like, what do you guys all think about this? Do we all come to a consensus on it? Of course, I'm not going to think exactly what you're thinking, but we can come to a general consensus that yeah, this works, it doesn't work, or like
yeah.
it's flawed or it's sound.
I remember you went over my swing, and I was like, I at the time I was like had no I understood what you were telling me, but I couldn't make it happen
Yeah,
like
put the pieces
physically,
together. Yeah,
and I was like, damn, like I you were telling me what I needed to do. I kind of knew what I needed to do, but I just like physically was like it was unfamiliar to me, and then you start working with me, and now I'm like starting to feel that
yeah,
that movement, and it's
yeah.
like, oh wow, and then you could totally see the flight of the ball and everything. It's like changing,
The instant
and it's
change. Yeah,
like less work I'm doing, and
yeah.
it just
That's
really
that's kind of the cool thing about golf specifically, or things like that, sports like that, where you can see the instant result.
uh-huh.
You know what I mean? There's some things in life where you just don't get an instant result, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just like we're kind of taking a leap of faith here on how this is all going to pan out. But I have a strong belief that this makes sense. You know what I
uh-huh.
mean? The logic is sound, everything's sound. With golf, it's kind of cool because you can kind of be like, there's quite a bit because of technology and everything like that. The margin of error is pretty big.
Uh-huh.
Like you can, or it's I should say it's not that big. The margin of error is has been minimized to where it makes it enjoyable for the person, like depending on the type of club you're using, the temp, but
Yeah.
so if your technique is like in the area of where it needs to be, you'll see a result. You're like, oh shit, now it's a matter of replicating it
Over and over.
consistently
Yeah,
over and
yeah,
over,
yeah.
right?
No, it's like, oh shit, I got it on
Yeah.
that one shot, and
Yeah.
it's like, dang it, well, what did I do?
What did I
How
do?
are my knees?
Yeah.
How are my butt? You know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's just like, dang it.
Or you'll have like they call it swing thoughts, where you have one swing thought where you're just kind of like, oh, my knee. That's the trick. You know what I mean? And it's kind of just like a muscle memory or like a mental trigger for you, where you're just kind of like, oh, that feels good. It's like almost like baseball players when they step up to bat and they have their little routine, and it's like, all right, I do this with my gloves. I put my foot here, like like I'm locked in. Now I feel comfortable, and then really it's like almost luck how you hit the ball and when you hit it. You know what I mean? Like they're not.
Do you have a swing routine
when I play baseball?
No.
Or golf? Oh fuck yeah.
No, I hear that's like one of the
Yeah.
keys to success.
Yeah, it annoys the shit out of like Jake and everybody. They're like, fucking hit the ball, man.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Oh, is it long? Is your
It's
a little lengthy?
It's long compared to like guys like Jake, where they're just kind of like
walk up and just smack it.
Like, I'm just gonna go fucking hit the ball. Like, you know what I mean? And then working on things with him, it's like, look, man, you gotta kind of like, the more you have a routine, the more you know you're taking out the variables that are gonna kind of fuck your shit up. So you might want to get into the like a little bit of a routine. So like they all like develop their little routines, but then there's guys like Ray, where Ray knows his swing so well, he just kind of goes up and he fucking just does his thing. But even then, you can still see his little routine.
And if you're playing with somebody like that and see it, it's just like, oh shit, he does it. I can totally do that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like people make it look so simple,
and it's fucking not.
And you're just kind of like, fuck, man. Like, how does it? Especially when you go watch professionals do it. When you watch like a practice round for like I followed Tiger around every time he was in California.
Nerd. Well,
Tiger.
wait. Like, what do you mean you followed him around?
Like I follow him. Like if he was in whenever they do the West Coast run, I'd go down to Torrey Pines. I'd watch a practice round with Tiger.
You just watch a practice round?
Yeah, like I'd go. Like that was our thing. We don't like going to the actual tournament because the actual tournament's like super busy, getting positioning for like seeing the shots. Yeah. It's just kind of like it's like Disneyland. It's like
when you say we, who's we?
My wife and I.
Oh, dang, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. So then, when
do you have any like autographed Tiger shit?
No, we never really stuck around to do. So this is gonna sound super arrogant. I was always kind of like, I'm gonna play with these fucking guys.
Yeah.
So I don't give a shit about your autograph. Like, I don't want your autograph. When I go with my son, I think it's gonna be like kind of for him.
Yeah.
It'll be cool. And like again, middle-aged men, they don't fucking sign shit for.
Yeah, but
I told my wife, I was like, hey, you may be able to get signatures. I can't get signatures. But
I was always told, like, you just like personalize it. They'll be like,
there's that
it's like you have people that are just trying to resell.
Yeah.
But if you like personalize that shit, no one's gonna really. You're not gonna resell something that says Jose on it. Good luck, Jose.
Right. Yeah.
Tiger.
Or thanks for the support. Yeah. So, so when he's at Torrey Pines, we'll go see him at Torrey Pines. When he goes to the Genesis, we'll watch him at the Genesis. We'll watch his practice rounds. But again, I'm going to watch for a completely different reason than why like my wife's going to watch.
Mechanics or what?
Yeah, I'm like breaking down what he's doing, how he's working, and and not just him. These are all the elite golfers. You know what I mean? So you're looking at he's just actually on the ground. It's fine.
On the ground?
Yeah, it's fine. Sweep it up.
All right.
Put it in my glass if you want. I'll sip it. So I'll watch his like mechanics and shit. I'll watch all that, and just be like, holy shit. But when you watch them, it's only on camera. It's only for all 10 people to see. When you watch that shit, you're just like, God damn it, they make it look so easy. Or not only that, it's like so effortless.
Yeah. But I mean, they're hitting how many shots do you think a day?
At their level, it depends. It's tough, but
they're hitting daily, right? Like at least.
Oh yeah. It's never like
a few thousand.
It's not like I just go. Oh, I got a tournament this weekend. It's gonna be 4 days.
I'm taking Sunday through Wednesday off. They're hitting.
No, they're hitting. Yeah, every day. So as soon as they go to one, as soon as they're off for one tournament on Sunday, that Monday they'll do like a travel day Monday, then Tuesday usually they'll have like a pro-am round, and then Wednesday they'll have their practice round, then Thursday, so they're playing.
But like, so not only are they playing, but like they're got like warm up routines that would make me exhausted.
So you see how they simplify it. So when you go watch them on the range, they're not out there fucking taking, like when you see guys practice at the driving range, they're taking their driver out and they're fucking hitting the ball as hard as they can and trying to see how far they can get it. Fucking
these guys
they're not doing that.
Just
they're hitting the ball.
spots,
They
right?
like Tiger's taking his driver out and he's hitting his driver maybe like 260 yards, you know, and he can smash it to like 330.
Yeah.
You know, if he wanted to. But he's hitting it like maybe 260, 270, but he's more working on like ball flight. What you know, he's thinking of like, okay, I know this tee shot's gonna be a bitch, so let me make sure I can pull it off here, so then when I get there, I'll have the confidence that I can just do what I did on the range.
Yeah.
You know? Where guys that practice, and I did this for so many years, was like, let me see how far I can get my 7-iron. Let me see how far. So like, oh cool, like now I can hit my 7-iron 170 yards. Like that's gonna be my 170 yard.
But you do have like probably like a max day like in weightlifting where you're just like, all right, how far can I hit this? Or no, you don't really do that.
No, because what I learned is to hit it as hard as you can, as far as you can, and hit the shot you want to hit. There's so many things that have to happen right that you're never gonna hit that shot on the course.
So how do you like measure your club, or not like?
So now it's like distance? so once I learned that, once I came to that conclusion of like this has to be a perfect swing on the course for it to come out right and hit at this distance, you're now like, okay, what is the smoothest swing and the distance I can hit it?
It was nice. It was like this.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna take my shirt off. I'm gonna get a little sun. I was realizing I was super white.
Mm-hmm.
But now I have like, so I got slightly burnt on my back shoulders,
mm-hmm.
and then I have my head's so big. I like have this like, it casts a shadow over my neck, so I got this big ass like white spot right here. Bugs the shit out of me.
So you gotta.
I gotta lose my size of my head.
You got a head shadow.
That's yeah, big ass head shadow.
Yeah, Arturo Fuente makes really good cigars. We're back. I don't know how much of that last conversation you guys got, but hopefully enough that it makes sense. But basically, golf talk, cigar and golf talk.
Cigar and golf talk.
For all the ladies that watch our podcast that don't give a shit about either.
Some are interested.
Obviously.
Yeah. Don't know. It is a thing these are kind of cool to people, you know, intriguing. People don't know a lot about it, you know. Just like
present company included, exactly. Yeah.
But I mean, we don't know a lot about it. Imagine the like,
yeah,
person that's just like, you know, it's interesting, but I don't know enough to like actually go out and buy whiskey or a cigar. For
the 3 ladies that watch this podcast, I'm curious is
50% of our
demo.
Our viewers.
I'm wondering if you guys think that, like, why do guys like this shit?
Is it douchey? Do you think it could be douchey? You think girls think it's?
I don't think the actual like. I think women like it. I think they might be intimidated on, and it'd be great to have a woman on to have this conversation with.
You're invited.
Yeah.
That's your invite.
Like,
reach out.
I think they think it's just as interesting as we do. You know what I mean?
No, I agree.
Because women are into like crafts and different things like that. Like, there's a lot of shit that women do that I'm like, that's pretty fucking cool. That's interesting. And then I'm like, but I wouldn't, as a dude, I'd be like, I'm not gonna scrapbook. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't want to be that guy that like, oh yeah, well, this is my collage of, you know, but like guys are into like weird shit. I mean, not just guys, but people are into weird shit, like collecting coins and collecting like different things, stamps and things like that. Where, I mean, it's not a male dominated kind of like arena. I mean, women can do it. Anyone can really do it. And I think that women just have the same mentality where it's like, I'm a girl. I'm not going to, like, how would I look sitting around a bunch of dudes smoking cigars that are all trying to get away from their wives or trying to get away from like shit like that. You know what I mean? Or maybe those conversations or maybe whatever it is, you know what I mean? Or like I come and hang out with the boys because I don't want to hear, like, this is going to sound very sexist, but I don't want to hear a woman's perspective on this because I'm just hanging out with the boys. Like I want them to like.
Well, that's why my perspective is kind of like.
That's why I have you on. For the femininity.
No, I mean, I think some people just like to hang out though, and
sorry.
Like, well, like you mentioned, your
like
wife.
I want you to sympathize and empathize with what like I'm going through. And as a man, I feel like we'll bond, and you'll be like, yeah, fuck yeah, I hate that shit too.
Yeah.
Where like a woman will kind of rationalize what like their point, and you're like, I'm not trying to hear your point right now
Yeah.
because I'm pissed off about this thing, and
But
I think I'm
you
right.
want to hang out with your boy. Like you said, like the cool thing about your wife. I mean, she'll drink whiskey with you, right? She hangs out and watches golf with you. Does she smoke cigars? She like draws a line there.
No, I mean she's not opposed to it. She's just not. It's not her thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And which is fine. But here's the thing, and this is why I love my wife. If she's ever gonna watch this podcast, to tune in right now is the time. My wife has always been the chick that hangs out with a bunch of guys.
Yeah.
You know, in high school and stuff like that, she had a bunch of guy friends and shit like that.
Whoa.
Yeah. So like
Whoa.
as a kid in high school or whatever the fuck, you're so intimidated by that that you're just kind of like, no, I don't want you fucking hanging out with any of your like guy friends. And because let's be honest, most of the guys are just trying to fuck them. But she was always just kind of like not so much tomboyish, but she grew up with two brothers.
Yeah.
So she always just kind of like it was hard for her to trust women, and like what she wasn't really into even though she was a cheerleader, she had a bunch of like cheerleading friends and stuff like that. So I think the fact that I was older made it easier for me to like deal with the fact that she was around a lot of dudes. Because I'd fuck all of them up, it's not a big deal. But
fuck everybody's age.
Yeah, but it was like none of them intimidated me, I guess. But when you're in high school, everyone around you intimidates you. That's trying to holler at your girl. But she's always kind of been around the guy culture.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Like you want to drink some whiskey. Like she likes whiskey. Like she legitimately likes whiskey.
Yeah.
Now it's just the difference of like the nuance of like what she likes and what she doesn't like. Where like you'd be like, oh, try this. This is fucking where it's at. And I drink it, and she's like, oh, I don't really like it. It's too strong, or it's not like I don't know. I don't really like things about it. And I was like, well, so this is like this Scotch is where it's at.
Yeah.
And then she'll be like, yeah, I don't know. It's not for me. And I'll be
like, there's like a Instagram group of in Long Beach.
Yeah.
Called Women Who Drink Whiskey, and it's from Long Beach. So they go to like bars and have like a night every like Thursday night or something like that. But I've been wanting to go just to like pick their brains and see what they,
You're not allowed, dude.
That's they do say men are allowed to go. It's just like a clever name for them. Yeah. But like in the same context, it's like, do I want to go hang out with a bunch of women drink whiskey?
Are you fucking up their vibe? Cool. Are you fucking up their vibe?
Yeah, I don't want to, but
it's not.
But I think they do say it's like it's open to anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure. And the thing is, like, just as much as a woman would feel like she's fucking up the vibe for like a men's smoking group or club or whatever it is, like the good old boys club. I think it'd be the same. It's like, no, these girls get together so they can shoot the shit, talk shit about men. You know what I mean?
I have a dude point of view.
Yeah, and if you're that dude there to fuck up the vibe and be like, well, I can't really say this because then you're gonna chime in and be like, well, that's fucked up as a guy, blah 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 blah. It's like, whatever. Like, don't come next week. So, and I think that's important. I think it's important for women and men to have space to where they can kind of like, not commiserate, but kind of like just bond with like their fellow
get some
their fellow dudes and women to kind of like one like reinforce what they're feeling, like you're not alone in how you feel about that. Like if it was my husband, I'd feel the same way. If it was my wife, like, yeah, dude, I fucking hate when they do that. But also it'll give you like an open mind where like when you come back to your husband, be like, look, yeah, I talked to so and so, they had the same kind of like issue with their husband, and this is how they worked it out. Or like, why do you do this? And then she could take that to her homegirl and be like, oh wow, that's different. My husband doesn't think that way. You know what I mean? It's like my husband's just an asshole. And then you kind of like appreciate like, well, cool, at least my husband's not an asshole. You know, you get that aspect where you're like, cool, and then you can kind of like figure out, and then she could tell you like, hey, so like Susan's husband's an asshole. He did this, and you'd be like, oh, that's fucked up. Like
Yeah.
if I were Susan, I'd tell him like this,
Yeah.
and it may
She
help
goes,
her out with
yeah.
her shit. You know what I mean?
They end up breaking up
Right.
3 months later. And just,
Interesting we touched on this topic because I wanted to talk about like the Amber Heard shit and the Johnny Depp shit. Like, and I know this is probably late freight for by the time this goes out, and people are probably over it.
trial's over.
Trial's over, probably. You know, Johnny won. We get it. But I wanted to talk about, like, you know how they talk about toxic masculinity,
Yeah.
right? I feel like that's been pumped so much, or like they talk about this like this breaking down of masculinity, that it's toxic and all this, and they've put this umbrella that I don't know if it's just now that it's starting to like okay the behavior of women that are acting fucking crazy, or it's just kind of like coming to light now. But I feel like there's just as much a toxic femininity as there is a toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with gender or sex or anything like that. What it has to do with is just that people are fucking assholes.
Some people can be assholes.
Yeah, they're fucking nuts. They have their issues, they have their mental issues, they have whatever the fuck, whatever it takes for you to fucking shit on someone's bed. Like you're not right upstairs. You
Correct.
know what I mean? You know,
correct. That's true. But I mean, Johnny Depp doesn't have the best track record.
that's
Right.
another thing. You know what I mean? So
Right.
it's like, and
So he's really cool about it, like in the trial and whatnot.
right. He's
But
an
it's
actor.
like, yeah,
He not only is an actor, he's one of the best actors.
He's one of the cooler actors, you know.
He's one of the best actors of our generation. You know what I mean? It's like you look at him and you're like, that guy walks around all goddamn day speaking in a British accent, and he's from Kentucky apparently, or some shit like that, right? Where's he?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think he's from Kentucky or something like that. And it's like, holy shit, you're from Kentucky? I thought he was from Los Angeles this whole time, you know, because he had like the Viper Room and all this stuff. So I thought he was like born and bred, you know, Hollywood.
That's news to me. I didn't know he was from.
Yeah, he's like from, I think, Kentucky or something. Yeah, something like that. And it's like, oh shit, like no one really knows about Johnny Depp.
I mean, he's had a few marriages, right? I mean,
he's had a few issues, period.
Yeah, correct.
You know, he had his buddies die in his club. He's had, you know, I think River Phoenix died in his club. He's had
outside, I think. But,
or associated with the club.
Yeah.
He's had like he had his band and stuff. He's had like his little dark times. He struggled with, you know, substance abuse and shit like that. You know, similar. It was kind of like that whole like Brat Pack kind of 80s kind of group where they were all kind of struggling with shit. I want to know
what Winona Ryder thinks.
She thinks, why didn't you steal some of the shit? And if I was Amber Heard, I would have stole all his shit. It was Winona Ryder. Winona Ryder was the one, the klepto, right?
Yeah.
Well, she was having the issue with the kleptomania, and she was like saying like I was doing research for a role. Yeah.
But that was his like first wife, right? Or were they married?
I don't know if they were married or not.
But I don't know. There was always been issues with him and his women's.
Yeah. He's
that French chick.
He's kind of like a recluse.
Yeah.
You know? And now he's just an old recluse where it's like he's
No, one of my buddies was like, I didn't know when Johnny Depp became a strip club DJ. He's like with the suit, his pulled back hair, and it's like
it's just funny. It's like time passes, but you try to hold on to the time where you were like you were in your glory, you know. So
he's still in his glory.
He's encapsulating that time ago. You can light it in your mouth.
In my mouth?
Yeah, and just like puff on it while you're lighting it. It'll help bring the flame to it. So yeah, it's I think that like in society's like view, what's happening is that there's so much talk about toxic masculinity and how men should be more sensitive and men should be more understanding, and you know what was like a man's man back then is like now kind of frowned upon. Has okayed behavior from women that are crazy or just like toxic women. It's like okayed them to act the way they do because it's like you can't be a toxic man because all of a sudden you're already guilty in the eyes of the public as being a toxic masculine man. You know what I mean? Like the shit they do with like Joe Rogan where they like, oh, he's just a bro. They're all just like meatheads and this, that, and the other. And it used to be something that was kind of admired. It was like a balance. You know, you have your wife that was like really kind of like she handled the more emotional aspect, and then the dad was there to kind of handle the more like suck it up, fucking get on with it kind of mentality. But you take that aspect out, it gives free reign, and I think this happens a lot with like protected groups. When you protect a group, and it may be with the best intentions initially, because that group is actually having a lot of problems because society's been kind of shitting on them or whatever it is, maybe the LGBTQ community, maybe um, women in the workplace, whatever it is. When you start protecting these groups or race, it then gives that group, that protected group, almost the okay to act however they feel like acting without any repercussion, because it's like they're protected. They can't suffer the consequences. Yeah, and I think it's wrong. I think it starts to develop this type of culture where people do shitty things and think they can get away with it. And I think Amber Heard is one of those situations. I think what's going on with Will Smith and his wife is another like display of like this guy is probably what a lot of people see as far as like, or see as like the epitome of what they want as far as a man that's supportive and is there for his wife, does everything he can, like, and then like he's almost like not masculine enough.
He could just never do.
He can never do right, and it's more because she has this kind of like toxic standard that she's kind of set, and he's so in love with her and he cares so much about her. He's trying to do whatever he can to like.
No, I mean, I told you, I've said this on a previous podcast, but I read his book, and that was his biggest thing. He was like, man, ever since I was little, I was always thought of as a coward.
Right.
Like as a rapper, he was a coward because he was never like
he didn't curse.
Yeah. As an actor, he was always kind of hated on and believed to be a coward. And then now, with his whole Jada thing, he's a coward. And then it totally comes to a head, and he like tries to stick up for himself and her and show that masculine role, and is the worst possible scenario and looks like more of a coward, So I'm
and an asshole.
Yeah, definitely.
So here's the thing. We didn't talk about the whole Jada and Will thing because it was kind of played out and people are like, everyone had already kind of formulated their opinions on it. And to be honest with you, I don't really care or subscribe to the whole Hollywood kind of like they're more important than they actually are fucking shit. Like, who gives a shit? Like, honestly,
definitely.
It's an award show that really, like, who gives a fuck? It should be about acting, not about their lifestyles. But
King Richard was pretty cool though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no one is talking about King Richard and how great of his performance was. His performance was badass, the performance he had at the Oscars when he slapped Chris Rock.
Exactly.
But do you think he did that for himself or for his wife?
I would say both. I mean, I think it was for his wife, but like I said about the context of him just feeling like a coward for so long, that was his chance to kind of make a stand, and it was just, backfired.
Yeah, I can see that. Like, as much as I want to say he was standing up for his wife, I don't think Jada's that timid of a woman or that fragile of a woman that like that was really the like. I feel he did it more for himself,
Yeah.
to try to gain. Now the reasoning he did was probably to try to gain, if not her approval, the approval of like everyone that's been shitting on him about how much he's a coward and whatever.
Correct. Yeah.
So I think like deep down or subconsciously he did it for himself.
I'm kind of curious to see how, like, what happens like in a year with Will Smith. Like, does he just kind of bow out? Dude has a ton of money. Like, he doesn't need another role. He doesn't need anything else.
I don't think it was ever about the role or ever about the money. It's always been about the attention. I feel like he's always been in the limelight, and to be in a kind of like a pivotal moment now in his life where he's like, you're getting the dad grandpa roles as opposed to being the star,
the mega star
action. You know what I mean? You're now starting to get into those roles where it's just kind of like, hey, can you put on 30 pounds and kind of play this
older dude?
And it's like, I used to be I Am Legend, you know what I mean? I used to be, Mike Lowry, you know what I mean? So it's like you're no longer a heartthrob. And I think that's for a man, especially in this middle age, a little past his middle age, that's harder pill to swallow, you know what I mean? You got your midlife crisis shit
He
to deal
should
with.
come out with a rap album and cuss the whole in every song.
Yeah.
I think that would be bad.
Like
Like
have
he's
like
just totally turned bad guy. I think that would be sweet.
have like a hit 'em up for Chris Rock. That'd be sick.
I do want to hear what Chris Rock has to say. I mean, he hasn't really said anything since then. So
I mean, I think
I mean,
it doesn't benefit him at all to talk about it. You know, it's like what's the use in talking about it? Like,
yeah,
it happened. Everyone knows it happened. The more I talk about it, and I think if anything, he might use it as like, I can see Chris Rock's new special, and in the special he talks about, getting the whole incident.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of it for me is cloaked in the whole Hollywood
conspiracies.
Like politics and shit like that. You know what I mean? Where it's like
they should just have like a bromance and just do like
or even that.
Should have a Netflix special and just bring him out. Like
anytime you're dealing with actors, the Academy, and that whole aspect of life, I feel like everything's done for marketing and it's tough. It's tough for me to sit there and be like, damn, I can't believe that. I can't believe Will Smith. It's always kind of like, it's always tainted.
What was the
like? Okay,
what was the?
Where's the blockbuster movie coming out with Chris Rock and
Will Smith.
And Will Smith? Like Harlem Nights 2 or some shit like that. Where it's a bunch of comedians and they're in it. You know what I mean?
I mean, they could totally do that and just be like a buddy kind of thing, and like, oh man, we squashed it. It's cool, and then everybody's happy. Or Will could just have a whole rap album.
Yeah.
Talking shit.
The thing is, I wouldn't be surprised either way. If it was legit and it was real, I'd just be like, that's kind of crazy. I feel bad for Will Smith.
Or Chris Rock smashes on Jada, and is the new August.
Or we get even worse. He goes out and slaps the shit out of Jada. You know what I mean? Slaps the hair off of her. And then, like, there was a article I read, or like something that popped up, and it was like Jada releases that she's been suffering with anxiety. It's like, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? You know how many people suffer from anxiety? Probably like 90% of the fucking population suffer from anxiety.
Anxiety.
Why should I give a fuck about? Yeah, what the fuck is petite anxiety? And why the fuck should I give a fuck about? Like, you have so many things at your disposal to help you with your anxiety.
Yeah.
There's people that suffer from anxiety, have absolutely nobody in their life, dead broke, have to work their ass off, get shitted on at work, have to deal with, and then they come home to their kids, and their kids are probably having like trouble too because their parents aren't around because.
And we're supposed to feel sorry for.
And I feel bad for this fucking millionaire who's got everything that she could have, everything she can need at her disposal to help her deal with her mental illness or whatever she's dealing with. You know what I mean? Like, I'm supposed to give a fuck you have alopecia. My cousins and my friends have alopecia, and it's not the kind where they could just fucking shave their head and be cool with it. You know what I mean? They walk around with these patches in their head, and it's like, yeah, fuck it. I mean, it is what it is. I'm doing the steroid therapy. I'm doing all this shit. It's like, it's life. You know what I mean? It's like, and I feel like that's what's happened with Hollywood, is that they're so out of touch with what reality is and what life is that they just have these fucking like have a bleeding heart for me and what I'm going through. Like that whole the Johnny Depp shit, like 80 something, or it was 80 something million or $800 million was fucking like extorted from him from the Pirates of the Caribbean shit.
Really?
It was who I don't know who did the extortion, but it was before her. It was before her birthday party, and he showed up late to her birthday party because he was dealing with it. And apparently that was one of the incidents that were like she flipped out on him or whatever.
Like, how dare you?
Yeah, like you show up late.
I just got $80 million.
I think it was like $800 million. I'm like, $800 million. That sounds far fetched. I'm gonna say $80 million because $800 million.
The franchise did make a shitload of money, and I know so it could possibly be
almost $1 billion. If someone extorted almost $1 billion, I'd say fuck your birthday party.
Dealing with something.
Just you won't see me for a week because I'm trying to figure out. I'm gonna hunt this motherfucker down. Like $800 million.
Even 80 mil.
80 mil.
Yeah.
80 mil is like at least good enough to like, hey, I missed your party, my bad. You know what I mean? Hey, bro, couldn't make it to your 40th, bro. Yeah, someone took 80 mil from me, bro. Like,
I got to figure out. I got to get to the bottom of it.
I got it. I understand, man. You know, like,
Yeah.
would you really be like, but bro, it was my 40th
birthday, bro.
I only turned 41.
Fucking missed it.
It's wild, man. Like these people are so out of touch with reality, and like I'm wondering if just society in general is just out of touch with reality. Like, are we as people out of touch with reality? And this is what's setting us up for the metaverse.
I'm down with it.
It's a pretty good segue. You know,
invested in it. So
yeah, I'm invested. I'm quite literally invested in it. So I'm hoping it blows the fuck up. And I'm hoping too, because then I could go to like restaurants and shit like that, and I have
nice
people around me. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
that'd be
just
cool.
like shit'll open up.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. The shutter's gonna go off. Let me see. Hopefully this shit is continued recording.
And I'm in down.